Welcome into 49ers Access. My name is Sterling Bennett, and I'm joined by my friend Dre from Dre Area Sports because we have to ask the age-old question. Are the 2025 San Francisco 49ers legitimate Super Bowl contenders, or are they fakers as the season winds down? San Francisco is currently in their bye week, but we have to ask the big questions here on the show. And today we're going to dive into each and every current NFC playoff team, rank them, discuss their fatal flaws, their weaknesses, their strengths, and see where San Francisco fits in all of it. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, 49ers Access, and to Dre Area Sports. And also leave us that 5-star audio podcast on the audio podcasting platform, Spotify, whether it's Apple. The Spotify Wrapped has come out. All the fans out there, thank you so much for watching and listening to the show on there. And Dre, how you doing today? And let's get into this. Are the Niners legitimate Super Bowl contenders? How you doing, Dre? You're post-Black Friday, post-Thanksgiving, leading now into Christmas. How you feeling?
Pretty good. I think the Niners are in a really good spot right now. Yes, they've won 3 in a row, which I'm extremely happy about. Yes, they've played against some pretty crappy teams. But still, I think these are great. And this sounds so, I hate saying this, but these are great tune-up games to get the Niners back, back in the flow of things when they take on the harder teams, which are the Bears, the Seahawks, and I'm missing one. What's the third one?
Colts.
The Colts, thank you. So I'm looking forward to those weeks, and I think that coming off the bye week, they stand a really good chance to beat the Titans. I've heard they've had some issues, so should be good.
Well, that's one of the reasons why we're asking the question now, because San Francisco has this week off. Niner fans as a whole can sit back, relax. Hopefully the team can get healthier out of their bye week, but also we can sit back and watch other teams fall by the wayside. And if we're lucky, and when it's all said and done by the end of week, number 14, 13 now with the 49ers, they could be grabbing the number 2 seed if all goes perfectly. No matter what, they are going to jump into the 6th seed by the end of the weekend as Chicago and Green Bay face off, I believe, this week. So whoever wins that game will stay either at the top of Chicago or Green Bay jumps up and Chicago drops down. Either way, San Francisco will be the 6th seed by the end of the week. But if the Rams and Seahawks lose this week, San Francisco jumps to the number 2 seed by the end of the weekend, which I'm pretty sure if you asked anybody with the injuries they have, would the 2 seed even be in the conversation? You would have got laughed out of the fan base. But here we are, San Francisco having 9 wins, tied for the most in the entire conference, and they can grab the 5th seed if the Rams or Seahawks lose. So much coming into play this weekend, and so much to, if you're a Niner fan, be kind of grateful for and looking forward to hopefully watching the Rams, Seahawks, and whether it's the Packers or the Bears, however else you want to lose this weekend, drop down, because San Francisco can surprisingly be a top 2 seed by the end of the weekend. But I think it's important to kind of discuss where San Francisco is in this grouping of NFC playoff contenders, because we've seen them beat the Panthers. They beat the Rams early in the season, lost to them later, but still beat them early in the season. They beat the Seahawks earlier in week number 1 of the year. And I think a lot of fans are eagerly anticipating the upcoming games against the Colts, the Bears, and Seattle to kind of really see where this team actually fits into everything. But right now, San Francisco, like I already said, is tied for the most wins in the conference with the Seahawks, Bears, and Rams. When you hear that, Dre, what is your takeaway? Do you think San Francisco has a legitimate shot at being the number 2 seed? Or are you one of those fans that's like, hey, number 1 seed is still, we're there for the taking. We can get this thing done.
I think it's possible they can reach number 2 seed. It's possible they can get number 1 seed. Do I think it's going to happen? Probably not, because you'd have to have the Rams and the Seahawks lose at least 2 more games. And right now they're in the same boat where the Niners are, where it's like, hey, we need to win out because we got teams all right behind us trying to go for our spots. Now, the Niners, what you don't want for San Francisco is that you don't want the last game of the season against the Seahawks to be a game that depicts whether you make the playoffs or not. Yeah. You want to win you want to win the next 3 games so that game doesn't have huge stakes. Now, I might have home field advantage stakes or seeding stakes, yes, but you don't want that game to be the deciding factor of whether you make the playoffs or not. I think this team stands a good chance to make noise in the playoffs. And really, I look at it this way. The Niners are missing a lot on defense, right? And that's going to be the biggest problem going into the postseason. When you start going against the elite teams, they don't fuck up like the Cardinals do, like the Browns do. I mean, and so my thing is that the defense has to step up, but I think that the Niners offense and the Niners as a team, to me, they might be that team that when they get in the playoffs, they could be like the San Francisco Giants in 2010, or kind of like what the Chiefs did 2 years ago when they played against the Niners. They got in as a wild card team. But because of their experience and their playmakers, they were able to run the table, get to the Super Bowl, and win that game because they were an experienced team that had played together for a number of years. And so they were able to put it together. And we look at the teams in the NFC, none of these teams scare me to the point where I say, dude, I don't know if we can beat these guys. Even the Rams, we've beaten them before with Mac Jones as a starter. And what was the difference? In the second game that we played them, they scored a lot early, which they didn't do in the first game. So if we can control that, then the Niners have a good shot to really make some noise and make a run in the postseason.
Well, you mentioned the Niners defense essentially being their fatal flaw because I think myself, I'm sure you included, believes in the offense, albeit Purdy's had some ups and downs this year. But 2 of his last 3 games have been really good against the Cardinals and against the Browns and their great defense. And it makes you want to believe at least that this offense can carry the heavier load as the year progresses. And I think, the defense, I think, clearly is this team's Achilles heel. Now, they're coming together, albeit they're playing some worse offenses, and it may make a average-ish defense look better than it actually is. This team still has no pass rush. You're always going to wonder as to what having Nick Bosa and Fred Warner and Micah Williams could do to this team and how good they can actually be if they were fully healthy, at least on defense. But I want to run down every current NFC playoff contender from the Panthers all the way up to the Chicago Bears at the number 1 seed and discuss each team's fatal flaw. And we'll start at the bottom with the Carolina Panthers, currently the number 10 seed at 7-6. They're a handful of games behind the San Francisco 49ers, about 2.5 because of the tiebreaker San Francisco holds over them. But the number 10 Carolina Panthers, 1, do you think they'll make the playoffs? I don't think they will. I think it's kind of a long shot for them. They are the team that, yes, is young. They're exciting. They beat the Rams last weekend. They really should have beat the San Francisco 49ers, but they didn't do that. Thank God. But I think their one fatal flaw actually might be Bryce Young. He's super clutch in late game moments. He had a couple big 4th down conversions against the Rams, but the offense's inability to execute in the red zone on 3rd downs just puts that defense so far behind. And I think their fatal flaw may be the most important player on that team. That's Bryce Young. The Panthers, do you think they go to the playoffs? And 2, what is their fatal flaw to you?
I think their fatal flaw is Bryce Young. Look, I know Bryce Young was number 1 pick in the draft. He came out of Alabama. He's too small. I mean, guys at that height, they don't really find much success. I know Russell Wilson was small, but Russell Wilson had a freaking cannon for an arm, and he can hit the deep ball even to this day if he had to.
Well, and even Brock Purdy's a smaller guy.
Right. But what does Brock have? Brock processes better, and he's accurate. So he has a lot of intangibles that Bryce Young doesn't seem to have. Now, I don't know if Bryce Young can get it done. I know he had those big plays on 4th down. But I don't see him being able to carry the team through the playoffs. I don't. And plus, he's not a very mobile quarterback for being as small as he is. Like, look at Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels is a smaller, leaner, athletic quarterback, but he could run. He can move in the pocket if he has to. Bryce Young can't do that. And I thought he could, but he can't. And so I think that is probably their weakest spot is, I mean, we saw the numbers against him when under pressure. Not good. And so because of that, I think Bryce Young is their weakest point, and I don't see the Panthers making the playoffs.
Carolina going very far either. I don't think Carolina even goes to the playoffs at all. I wouldn't be shocked if Bryce Young's fifth-year option isn't picked up. I just think that Dave Canales and that defense, they're doing their job. They've kind of rekindled and retooled some things over there, but I think they're at least a year and a half away, but they're doing good things. I like what Carolina's building, but the building blocks are not just quite there. You love Ted McMillan, you love the defense, but it just maybe another offseason can get them closer to 10 wins. I don't think they're too far away from the Buccaneers. They're half a game behind them for the division lead, but maybe I just trust Baker and the Bucs more and Todd Bowles and those guys. You might get Mike Evans back, Bucky Irving's back now, but anyways, let's go to the number 9 seed, who I'm going to go on a limb here and say they're not going to make the playoffs, but if there's any team, and I think this same thing goes for the Houston Texans, I don't want to play the Dallas Cowboys if I'm the 49ers. I don't want to play the Dallas Cowboys if I'm Philadelphia. Really, the Dallas Cowboys may be one of the most underrated teams in the entire NFL. We were live when they traded away Micah Parsons to the Packers early in the season, and we kind of were like, what's happening in Dallas? And to give Jerry Jones and company credit, they have rebuilt that defense. Quinnen Williams, Logan Wilson, Kenny Clark, and the offense looks amazing. George Pickens. Like, I don't know if Dallas truly has a definitive weakness. Maybe it's their secondary, but while I don't think Dallas goes to the playoffs, they, to me, are better than teams like Philadelphia, Chicago, Tampa Bay, the Lions. I think they've had more consistencies as of late compared to the Packers. But do you buy the Dallas Cowboys? Are you scared of the Cowboys? And quite frankly, is that the team you'd not want to play of anybody in the playoffs if they happen to make it?
I wouldn't say be afraid to play them in the playoffs, because we all know that Dak Prescott usually shits the bed when it comes to him playing in the playoffs. But I'm telling you right now, Dak Prescott, as good as he's playing this season, it would not surprise me if next week or the week after, probably the week after, if all of a sudden we're at home, we get a sports update, Dak Prescott leaves game with hamstring injury.
Come on.
Then after the game, Dak Prescott, torn hamstring, out for the rest of the year, or out for 6 weeks, and you're like, well, there we go, they're done. And then they got it.
Dallas will go He's playing so good.
Dallas will go with Cooper Rush the rest of the way through. But I'm saying that
he's in Baltimore now.
Well, you know what I'm saying? Trey Lance.
Yeah.
No, but he's not even there either.
The other quarterback.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the kind of thing that happens to a guy like Dak Prescott, where he's having a phenomenal year, and then he'll get hurt, and you're like, oh, really, dude? And I just see something coming up, something happening that's going to derail their hot streak. Now, if they get in there healthy, I think that they can make some noise, because Dak's playing really good. The offense is playing really good. You have George Pickens and you have CeeDee Lamb. They're proving to be phenomenal number one, number two receivers. I mean, you basically have two number one receivers.
Are they the best receiving duo in football this year?
I think they are, because they're the most what's the word I'm looking for? They make the biggest difference when they're out there. I mean, they're constantly making big plays out on the field. Well, CeeDee Lamb drops a lot of them, but George Pickens has had a phenomenal year, and he's been making incredible catch after incredible catch. I think offensively, the Cowboys can do something really well. Now, they've done it against good teams. They've beaten the Eagles. They've beaten the Chiefs. As bad as the Chiefs have been this year, that's still a tough team to beat. And I think they've done a really, really good job. And look, they made a move at the deadline, a move that some people made fun of, but they brought in Quinnen Williams. Yeah. And they also got I think it's Logan Wilson, the linebacker from Cincinnati.
Yep.
And that has helped their defense tremendously. And now that they have an interior pass rusher that can help stop the run, it's been a huge help for them. Not to mention, you're partnering Quinnen Williams with the D tackle they acquired,
Kenny Clark
from the Micah Parsons trade. So now the Kenny Clark trade looks like, hey, that makes sense. Now your interior is really good, and now your interior is better against the run, and so that changes the complexity of their defense. So I think they have the chance to make a splash in the playoffs, but it's all about who they're playing and where they're playing. that will determine a lot. But as much as I hate the Cowboys, I'm excited to see what they do. But they are 6-5-1,
Yeah.
so they really need to win out. Not necessarily, but they got to get at least 10 wins.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing too, is like the Cowboys are surging at the right time, but might be too late for them. But they're good, man. Like you watch them on Thanksgiving, you watch them week to week, and the offense has always been good. They finally have the defense figured out. I know Niner fans aren't going to like this. In fact, I don't like this because it's the Dallas Cowboys. But like again, I think if you asked and you polled every team, their head coaches, their DCs, their offensive coordinators, maybe the GMs, whoever, and you said, hey, pick a team in the playoffs you wouldn't want to play, I think the Dallas Cowboys may be at the top or near the top of a lot of those results, because the way they're playing, their offense can score on any defense, and their defense is finally able to stop opposing offenses. And again, it may be a long shot, but the Dallas Cowboys being 6-5-1 and basically 3 games out of the playoffs, like if the Packers somehow stumble, I don't think they will, but like they have a tie up with the Green Bay, like it's not over. And I think Dallas is surging at the right time. But if I was the San Francisco 49ers and somehow things went this way, and they won't, but if I was playing Dallas round 1, I would not be too pleased about it.
No, I would not be either. Although the team they got to hope really takes a dive is probably Tampa Bay. They got to hope that Tampa Bay starts losing games. And for Dallas, I think they have to win out. If they win the next 4 games and they get 10 wins, then I think they're in. But yeah, it all depends on if they can do it. But also, too, you have to wonder, did the Cowboys peak too early? Because they've been playing great the past 3-4 weeks.
Yeah.
But they can sustain that for 4 more weeks and then into the playoffs? I don't know. Really there is one other kind of break the case in case of emergency, a scenario where like the Philadelphia Eagles just collapse, they fire their OC, and the Dallas Cowboys just continue to roll and they jump over Philadelphia, which that to me, albeit I don't like the Dallas Cowboys, I mean, I would love to see that over Philadelphia going again. Jalen Hurts has been terrible all year. A.J. Brown wants out of there. They're just a big mess. And if the Cowboys continue to keep going and going and going, I would love to see Philadelphia out of the playoffs. And hopefully Dallas would play somebody at home and lose in the first round too. It'd be great. But there is scenarios where this thing works out for Dallas, but they scare me a lot, but I don't think they're going to go to the playoffs. However, I would almost rank them higher in kind of who's the better team in the current race than teams that are currently slotted into some of their seeding, whether it be Tampa Bay at the 4 seed because they are ahead of the NFC South division, or even Philadelphia at the number 3 spot for the NFC East lead. I mean, the Eagles would have to really take a dive in order to not make the playoffs. When you look at their
which
final
they have,
games, but when you look at the final 4 games, they have the Raiders, the Commanders, the Bills, Commanders. That's a really easy schedule for a team that doesn't really throw the ball past like 6 yards. But still, defensively, I think they can shut down the Raiders, they can shut down the Commanders, and they can have a good game against the Bills.
Yeah.
So to me, they're going to get in. There's not enough there to hold them back, especially the Raiders and Commanders twice. To me, those are 3 wins automatically. You're like, if we can't beat these teams, then we suck.
It'll be the Deebo Samuel 2 revenge games for whatever reason because he hates Philadelphia so much. Right? He's gonna start strapping dudes up.
And look, we talked about this before the season even started. Remember, I was like, I want to see how the Commanders play with a harder schedule. Now, granted, Jaden Daniels has been hurt most of this year.
But the defense sucks.
That defense sucks. Bobby Wagner, get out of here. That guy was already too old. You got that one good year out of him to think, okay, let's re-sign him and let's run it back. I was like, come on, dude. That guy's a fossil. Like, he's got to go.
We have a $5 super chat from our friend Aaron. I will get to that, Aaron. I promise you. I do want to finish off the wild card or the under the wild card teams just on the bubble conversation first, because I do think that a lot of people would probably rank the 7-5 Detroit Lions over teams like San Francisco. Maybe someone believes that had Dan Campbell not gone for it on fourth down, they could have beat Philadelphia. And I think the Lions, when they play their best, are better than teams like Detroit, teams like Seattle. But they really haven't been their best for a lot of the season. Amon-Ra St. Brown is out, what seems like, for a couple of weeks. And Jared Goff has looked like some sort of a pumpkin, albeit not that bad, just not been playing his best football. I think the Detroit Lions are going to miss the playoffs. And it sounds weird saying that. That would be a catastrophic season for them. They just didn't do enough on the defense. Their front office deserves a ton of flack for not addressing the defensive line during the offseason. I would hate for this to be a retooling season because I really do like the Lions, the Motor City. It's kind of that grittiness of the Midwest. And I do like myself some Dan Campbell and Jared Goff. But I just don't buy Detroit. They'll make it a fight. They'll make things close. I really think Detroit can give a lot of teams in the current playoff picture a run for their money, but I think what we're seeing right now with the current 7 seeds from Chicago, the Rams, the Eagles, Bucks, Seahawks, Packers, and Niners, I think those are going to be your 7 playoff teams. It just depends on where each team is when it's all said and done. But do you believe in the Detroit Lions, or are you like me and you're like, it's kind of over?
I think it might be kind of over. Tonight's game is probably the biggest game of the year, but the problem with the Lions is they got a Thursday night game at home against the Cowboys that we just talked about, but then next week they go to LA and play the Rams. You have back-to-back tough games, and then you go Steelers, and then at home against the Steelers, at Minnesota, it's a gimme, and then the worst game they could ever ask for.
You say it's a gimme, but the Vikings beat the Lions a couple weeks ago with McCarthy playing quarterback. He went full 9 on them out of nowhere off the injury.
But they end the season in Chicago against the Bears, which the Bears, I think, are still kind of pretenders as well, but that's a tough matchup just in general. So the Lions, again, if they have to hope that San Francisco loses the last 3 games, because if they can win out, they're in, because they're chasing the Niners basically. But
well, funny enough, kind of bringing it back to the 49ers, it's like if you're a Niner fan and you're kind of asking yourself, like, who would I want this team to play, whether it was the Seahawks or the Rams in the first round, depending on seeding, like I'd almost rather play. Well, I'd almost rather play the Seahawks at home. So I just don't believe in Darnold. There's been he's not been playing his best football. I know they've been winning games because the defense is so good, and that may be what offsets the conversation for a lot of fans, maybe including myself too. But the Rams defense isn't very good. Their secondary sucks. Emmanuel Forbes is hot garbage. I don't care what Rams fans say. He's terrible. But I'd almost rather play the Seahawks at home, knowing they're a better road team. But if you are a fan that wants San Francisco to host or play the Rams in some capacity, you're almost rooting for the Lions to win tonight. That way they have a reason to play hard against the Rams in 2 weeks. It just...
Yeah, but I still think that this week and next week they're going to play hard, because if they lose this week, then they have to win out regardless.
See, but I think if they lose, it's over.
It's probably over. But what I'm saying, even if they lose tonight, the only thing they can do is try and win out. If they lose again against the Rams, then it's completely over. Then it's like, all right, let's pack it up.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're probably right.
But let me see. I was looking at his splits. There's been some bad stats for Sam Darnold in the second half of a lot of games.
Yeah, he's been one of the – he's had a really good year altogether. Him and JSN are awesome together. That is a phenomenal quarterback-receiver duo. But go look at Sam Darnold's stats first half, second half. But on top of that, look at the last month or so. That Titans game has, maybe kind of muddied the waters, but against the Rams, against the Vikings, he's not been great, as you saw early in the season. And it's his pumpkin-like nature is starting to kind of show itself as the winter months come, but it's not been it's not full frontal just yet. And like, you're just kind of waiting for the expose of Sam Darnold come January. And like, I'm banking on that over having to play Stafford, whether on the road or at home if you are the 49ers. So like, I know we talked about the current 7 seeds seem like locks to make it. Maybe the Buccaneers are on their kind of hinges on the fence, but that does kind of steer things back into Aaron's super chat, $5. Aaron, thank you so much. Can't wait to talk to you tomorrow during the bye week and kind of discuss some more Niner conversations and topics with you, with Dre as well on the Cover 3 podcast, exclusive to youtube.com. But he says it makes the Niners not making a move at the deadline look worse. I'm sure he's referring to the wide open nature of the NFC playoff picture and the Niners having a good chance to be the number 1 seed, maybe by the end of the year if they continue to win games. Are you with Aaron here? I know Aaron was a big proponent of getting somebody at the deadline. You wanted Trey Hendrickson. Are you still believing that had San Francisco made a move, whether it was for Jalen Phillips or Jermaine Johnson or whatever it was, that you'd feel a heck of a lot more maybe positive in regards to their potential?
If we had Jermaine Johnson right now, think how much better we would feel about having him on the edge with the idea of Samo coming back, with the idea of Yetur Gross-Matos coming back. That's the biggest problem, is that you don't have that premier pass rusher opposite Bryce Huff. And look, Bryce Huff, I think he's doing a great job, but his numbers have gone down this season because who are they stopping? They're like, okay, well, Mykel Williams isn't even there anymore. It's Sam. Right now, who is it? It's Robert Beal.
Keon White.
Who's
actually looked pretty good.
He's looked pretty good. Cleveland Farrell has been playing phenomenal, which is great. Yeah. But making a move would have been great. I don't care if you gave up a 3rd-round pick. Now, obviously, there's stipulations with that as well, but I still think that that would have made things so much better for the Niners to have just one more guy to help out that defensive line, because that's where they're struggling the most, is getting pressure on the quarterback. I will say this, though. The Niners defense lately has done a great job at containing the run. I think that's what their focus is. Contain the run, play great coverage in their secondary. But if you can contain the run, then you force them to just throw the ball around. And then they're trying to get you with their coverage because they can't put pressure on you. They try. Even when they do blitzes, they can't seem to get there in time. But they've done a great job of making these teams kind of one-dimensional. Even when the Browns started to run the ball effectively, they were able to make adjustments and stop their running game. And then it was in Shedor's hands, and then it was just a mess.
How bad is Shedeur Sanders?
Shedeur Sanders...
Like, we saw a lot of people like, oh, he looked good against the Niners. I'm like, did you watch the same game?
I saw that too, and I'm like, I don't see anything he did that was like, oh, boy, this guy's the real deal. Now, I think I would play him over Dylan Gabriel. I think Dylan Gabriel's terrible.
Especially now.
To me, you have to ride it out with him.
Yeah.
And I think how he plays the rest of the season will depict if you draft another quarterback. But
I think you do it anyways. I don't think it matters.
I mean, he's a 5th-round pick at this point. But to me, he hasn't shown much that it makes me believe this is the guy. He can't. He's fast, but he can't run. I think that's what Larry always says. He's fast, but he can't run.
He's not even fast. He's a mid-athlete that people think is elite or like a really good athlete.
Yeah, his dad was hella
he's
fast.
He's so average.
He's not. But to me, he's a good backup quarterback.
Sure.
I don't see him being a starter in the future. I could be wrong, obviously, but based on what I've seen so far, I think he's going to be a good backup. And I think that if the Browns make a move and draft a quarterback, he'll be the kind of guy who'll be like, release me, and then he'll just fall
get me out of here
into mediocrity.
It's like,
every time I want to support Shedeur Sanders, he goes and opens his mouth, and I'm like, you know what? Screw this guy. I'm done. He's not humble whatsoever.
He has handled himself a little better since getting the job, but I didn't love the way he was handling himself when he didn't have the job. But we'll see. Obviously, he's still young. He's made 2 starts, played the Raiders, played the 49ers, and those are vastly different teams, albeit no Nick Bosa and Fred Warner on that defense.
Well, you saw the difference between him going against the Niners defense than going against the Raiders defense.
Yeah, it's like playing an average defense and the worst defense in football. Like there was a massive jump for him and he couldn't handle it.
No, it was too much. He was like, "Oh crap!" I think early on he was like, "Well, this is a lot harder than the Raiders. This is not cool.
Yeah,
I better call my dad." But no, I think he's a good backup, and maybe he'll turn out to be a good starter. But I just don't see it.
we have a comment here by SF Gold Rush, and this is regarding the San Francisco 49ers and how they compare to other teams in the NFC playoff picture. They say, worried about the run defense and lack of explosive offensive plays. That's what makes the difference between the 49ers and other teams. I'm not too worried about the run defense. It's played better. Alfred Collins and West have made incremental improvements throughout the year. Alfred Collins looks awesome on the interior. Obviously, you wish you were fully healthy and Michael was there, and I think that's kind of one of the biggest losses of the season is simply just Michael. I know Bosa and Fred obviously are the elite guys, but Michael was one of the more valuable defensive lineman rookies in football pre-injury. And the hope was by week 13, 14, 15, he's really ramping things up and becoming a really good player with some confidence. And that being ripped away from him and the defense really sucks. And having that big space eater really sucks. But I'm not really too worried about the run defense. I think they've done a pretty good job. They held Rico Dowdle down to like nothing, basically, and Chuba Hubbard done to nothing. I have been a little concerned about the explosive plays. There was that 132-yard pass to Kittle, which was big against the Browns to help get them a field goal before the end of halftime. But there has not been, like, where's Ricky Pearsall? Where is the passing deep down? Then they've taken shots. They've been interceptions. And hopefully that changes. But I will say, when you're comparing offenses to which you believe San Francisco can play up to or equal to with the Rams, the Packers, the Bears, the Seahawks, like the Niners offense, really needs to find that second gear. They found, or they didn't find their third and fourth gear. They found gear 2, but you're just kind of waiting for Pearsall to kind of break out because they've been winning games and they've been winning them pretty confidently. But to SF Gold Rush's point, when you stack up the Niners against other explosive offenses, they just seem kind of stuck in gear 2 where you're wanting gear 3 and 4. But I think a lot of that will come once Pearsall kind of gets back into the fray of things.
Well, and the problem too is that other than Yatir Gross-Matos, there's nobody else coming to help the defense. If Nick Bosa was coming back and they said, "Oh, he'll be back for the playoffs," different story. If Fred Warner, I think everyone's like, "Oh, I'm not buying it. He's out for the season." I'm telling you right now, if they make the playoffs, I could see him coming back divisional round.
Oh, yeah.
But
I don't know if he will.
People were saying,
but he'll try.
He'll try. And a lot of them are like, well, I'm going to go with what Kyle Shanahan said, and he said he's not going to happen. Kyle Shanahan also said that Brandon Ayuk was hoping to get him back. That's not going to happen. We know that he's not going to come back. And Shanahan will always tell you the more obvious answer.
Yeah.
Is he going to come back? Oh, I don't know. I really hadn't even thought about that.
His response is, I don't know. I haven't talked to them in 4 months. And you're like, what do you mean? What do you mean you haven't talked to the guy?
Do you expect Kyle Shanahan to be like, hey, Kyle, is Fred Warner coming back? Yeah, dude, he might come back for the playoffs, dude. Isn't that crazy? No, he's not going to say that. And he wants to subvert expectations. And he also doesn't want the opposing teams to be like, hey, they might have Fred Warner. No, he wants that to be a total surprise if Fred Warner comes back. And I'm telling you right now, I feel very confident saying that I think he'll come back divisional round. Even if he's a rotational piece, I think that's what he's targeting right now is divisional. Will he get there? I don't know, but I feel like he will.
Which, not to go too far into the, are the Niners legitimate Super Bowl contenders, but maybe more so than Nick Bosa, getting Fred Warner back, I think makes the Niners so much more dangerous to teams like the Seahawks, like the Bears, like the Rams, like the Packers. Maybe not so to teams like Baker who want to throw outside in Tampa Bay or even Philadelphia where Jalen Hurts just never looks over the middle of the football field ever. But like you talk about like teams that the Niners may have to play, you get Fred Warner back and your chances jump up higher than they would if higher than even if Nick Bosa came back to play because that's how important Fred is. That said, I do want to ask you this because we're now into our current 7 seed playoff teams, and the San Francisco 49ers are 7, but I just want to ask you point blank of each team. Do you think the Green Bay Packers are legitimate Super Bowl contenders? Then we'll go on to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So you're saying no, the Packers are not.
I don't.
Okay, why?
I'll tell you why. I don't believe in Matt LaFleur. I don't think that he can lead a team to the Super Bowl and win it. I've seen him make too many bad decisions that has cost them games. Let's go back a few years ago when he had Aaron Rodgers and he elected to kick the field goal instead of letting Aaron Rodgers try and score a touchdown to win the game or to take the lead. He kicked the field goal, and then they tried to do an onside kick, didn't get it, game was over. It was like, why did you do that? What are you doing?
Right.
Just this year, 4th down, 4th and 3, I think it was. A handoff in shotgun to Josh Jacobs, and he got destroyed by the Eagles. I was like, what are you doing? I just think he coaches scared. I have no confidence that he can out-coach another head coach in the playoffs. And Jordan Love, I like Jordan Love. He's very talented. But again, he will force things and just rely on his natural talents to try and make something happen. And every time he does that, he usually turns the ball over or he puts the ball in harm's way. I don't see him being the guy that can hunker down and just get the job done and win like Stafford does, or dare I say like Brock Purdy does. I don't see the Packers being a legitimate Super Bowl contender. If they make the Super Bowl, I think they lose because I don't think that they can beat a team like, gosh, there's no. I'm looking at the playoff picture. Like, there's not even a Chiefs team on there. I'm like, maybe they can win. I see the Broncos and the Colts, but I just don't see them pulling it off. But they're still a formidable team. But no, I don't see it.
Yeah, I think their run defense has taken a hit. Devontae Wyatt got hurt. I think he's out for the rest of the season. They don't have Tucker Kraft the rest of the year.
No Tucker Kraft.
They're getting back Jaden Reed. They're getting back some of their younger wide receivers, Matthew Golden. Christian Watson's been phenomenal since he came back off the ACL injury. I am actually going to believe in the Green Bay Packers. I think their offense really struggled post the Kraft injury, but they really bounced back. Now we'll see, come playoffs, what Jordan Love does. I also think Jordan Love's actually having a really good season. He's been a big reason as to why they've kind of bounced back after a midseason lull. So the run defense, I think, can be had. Micah Parsons is not a run defender at all. We know this, but their linebacking course played better. They finally seem like they're not going to bring back Quay Walker, which makes sense. The secondary has some holes too, but I think it would take a team like the Rams, who drop back 35 times a game and Stafford just slices and dices them, or maybe a team like the Seahawks and Darnold doesn't turn into a pumpkin. But I do think that the Packers are one of the better NFC teams, and I think they belong higher in the playoff picture. And I'll even go as far as to say I think Green Bay wins the NFC North, and I think they do walk into the playoffs as at least the number 2 seed, which I know fans don't love that, but I just really, really like the Packers. Now, again, playoff time changes some things. Quarterbacks play better or worse when the months get colder, but I really do like Green Bay. So they'd be in my Super Bowl contender group. Their fatal flaw to me is the run defense and their secondary. But let's get to the Seattle Seahawks. I know they're...
Hold on. Real quick. Let me just show you this. Do you have that? Do you have this? Okay, this is what worries me about Jordan Love. This is against the Panthers, okay? Check this out.
Takes a snap. They're rushing 4. Love under pressure. Rolling out to his right. He's got to make a decision. Getting chased. Now going back and reversing fields. He has more time now. And Love, he's trying to freaking throw across. He he throws it right to the defender.
That's what I'm talking about. It's like, what were you doing?
I mean,
why would you throw the ball? At that point, throw it away.
It is 4th down, though. You have to throw it.
You have to throw it, but I mean, there was nobody there.
I mean, sure, but like you got to throw it. Jordan Love is prone to making at least in playoff games one bad mistake.
That play right there reminded me so much of what he did in the NFC title game against the Niners. He had a chance to lead his team down the field and take them to the next round, to the NFC Championship game. Instead, he throws across his body to an unopened receiver, and he gets picked off by Dre Greenlaw, and the rest is history. So, still.
Well, don't forget, Anders Carlson missed that kick, too.
He did. That was a blessing. I was like, oh, my God, thank you so much.
The amount of vulgarity that left my mouth as soon as that ball went in there, and I was just like, you mother. but let's get to the Seattle Seahawks, and I think the Seahawks may be one of the most legitimate teams in the NFL. A lot of people have them ranked as their number 1 or number 2, 3 teams. But maybe it's just me. And I'm sure a lot of the world would believe this as well and jump on this bandwagon where it's like, wow, Darnold looks great. The defense looks phenomenal. But it's like, call me when it's December 24th. Call me when it's January 1st and the playoffs come around, because this is the exact same thing that happened last year, where there have been glimpses of the ghosts being seen by Sam Darnold, and it's been less year by year, and he's playing in a really good system with Kubiak, and the defense can essentially make up for any mistake he does. He threw 4 picks against the Rams, and they almost won that game still. That's how good the defense has been, which does make me want to buy into what they're selling, but I don't know. I think it's simply just the Darnold hesitation, and that's not going to go away until he disproves that. And I just don't know if he's going to this year.
Sam Darnold is he's another version of Jimmy Garoppolo. Now, I think he's got a stronger arm. I think he's got a
better
accurate
quarterback.
He's a better quarterback than Jimmy Garoppolo, but he sort of falls into that realm of Jimmy Garoppolo because, when it comes down to it, you're like, can this guy pull it off? Is he going to play clutch in the playoffs? If you make it
but then at that point, he's probably more in the Jordan Love category of you're really good, you have the arm, you have the legs, but it's sometimes you're a little dumb between the head,
But see, I don't think so, because Jordan Love he's a young quarterback. He still has a higher ceiling, you'd hope. When it comes to Sam Darnold, we've seen the worst side of Sam Darnold early on. Now we're seeing a better side of Sam Darnold. But again, if the Seahawks run the table and let's say they make the Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
When they break down, how the AFC team is going to beat the Seahawks, everyone will say, you forced Sam Darnold to beat you. Stop the run, make Sam Darnold have to beat you. And that's what comes down to every game so far, especially when it comes in the playoffs. They're going to say, he's got to beat us. He's got to prove that he can beat our defense and not shut down their run, make him have to throw. And look, he's so lucky that Smith-Njigba hasn't been injured at all this season. If he goes down, if Smith-Njigba goes down, I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to be like, wait, who else do we have?
Rashid Shaheed and Cooper Kupp are out there lining out wide with
Kupp is
Horton
so
Jr.
Old. He's just oh.
And but that's the thing that was we can poke holes in the Seahawks and everything. And I think it's deservedly so, because again, they fall in this unique category of wow, they're really good. Wow, they've won 9 games. Wow, they belong and could be leading the NFC West by the end of the year because you have to play the Rams again. But it's I just don't buy into Darnold just yet. That could change. And that's the thing. That's what makes the Seahawks so unique is you do all these things so well. I just can't mentally get over the hump of Darnold's the guy. I believe in Sam, and
I can't.
I'm sure Vikings fans are like, we believe in Sam. Oh God, he was so good. And because you have McCarthy, but I don't know. He's been phenomenal. Some of the throws he's made,
no, he's got it. I mean, we always knew he had
if you can transfer that arm to Brock Purdy with the anticipation, the smarts that Purdy has and the intangibles Purdy has, oh my God, you have almost a perfect quarterback. It's just incredible what Sam can do with his physical traits, but it's almost there becomes a mental block. He stares down guys sometimes. If you can, and you saw it against the Vikings, you saw it against the Rams, if you can get some interior pressure, you can beat the Seahawks. He
Okay.
freaks out. Like he becomes Jared Goff. Really does.
When you look at their schedule, right, and who they've played, okay, I'm not going to go back to the whole season because there's a lot of teams here, but
All 18 games, 17 games.
but their last game, who'd they play? The Titans, and they won 30 to 20, 30 to 24.
It got dicey late, but yeah.
The Rams, they lost.
Yeah.
The Cardinals,
4 picks in that game.
The Cardinals destroyed them. They should.
Sure. Yeah.
And then they played the Commanders. Keep crap out of them. They're beat up.
Yep.
They suck. They did beat the Texans, who have the number 1 ranked defense. They beat the Jaguars, who I think are still pretenders, but they lost to Tampa Bay. Who was the other loss? And to the Niners. But they've beaten teams like their big win was against Pittsburgh early on. Then they beat the Saints, and they beat the Cardinals. But
they've had a very similar season as San Francisco
They've beaten
has.
up on a lot of weak-ass teams. And now their final stretch, it doesn't get any harder, really. They have the Falcons, the Colts, the Rams, the Panthers, and the Niners.
But so you say it doesn't get any harder. They have 4
the Rams
games
game
against
is
playoff
hard.
teams. They have 4 games against playoff teams though right now, or at least in the bubble.
Well, Colts, Rams,
Panthers,
Niners. I don't think the Seahawks can pull it off, but you never. I mean, the Panthers, but you never know. You never know. It's in Carolina. They got that going for them.
How many picks or turnovers did Darnold have against the Cardinals? Because that game was like 38-0 at halftime, but Darnold turned the ball over like 3 times in the second half.
Yeah, because they won 44-22. Let me see what he had here. Sam
and
Darnold.
It's just bad.
Well, I mean, this is not showing me any fumbles, but it says Sam Darnold was 10 of 12 for 178 yards, a touchdown, and 1 pick. I mean, he didn't really do much.
We didn't have to, obviously, but that's the thing is like, I wouldn't go as far as to say he's Jimmy Garoppolo, but I do know what you mean of just like every
that's
couple
a Jimmy
of games.
Garoppolo game right there.
Yeah,
Where he
right.
just
So
didn't have to do anything. You're like, okay. Well,
and so it's like, not to say Seattle doesn't want Sam to throw or doesn't want the ball in Sam's hand, but like take a look at teams like, the Rams, who have a really good front 7. They already beat the Seahawks this year for reasons they forced 4 turnovers against them. Like I think Philadelphia beats the Seahawks with their front defense, who just looks bored, and they've looked bored all year. And I don't know if that's because they're kind of ramping up towards the playoffs and kind of being the Golden State Warriors, is saying like, oh yeah, we can coast and then turn things up. We'll see. I don't know if they have the switch, but even teams like the Packers, like I don't think every team can beat Seattle, but I think like I would not like. I think the Packers are a better team than the Seahawks. I really do. And I wouldn't put Seattle as a Super Bowl contender because I do trust Jordan Love more than I trust Sam Darnold. I do believe in LaFleur more than I do McDonald and Kubiak as of right now.
I believe in the Seahawks defense.
Sure.
But their defense literally has to carry this team, because if they play bad defense, then you're putting all the pressure on Darnold in the offense.
Which they haven't done so far this year.
They haven't.
To be fair.
But that could happen in any playoff game. All of a sudden you go against the Cowboys, and all of a sudden they're scoring they're scoring like crazy, and you're like, oh shit.
Niner fans have seen it. They played terrible against the Lions and against the Packers, and then roared back because their defense finally turned things up and the offense got competent. Like the playoffs are a different animal. And like there's a reason why the cream rises to the top. Yeah. And no offense to the Seahawks, but I wouldn't categorize them as cream just yet in the NFC playoff picture. They're really good. They have a stake. And quite frankly, if the Niners play down, and let's say the Niners lose to the Colts and the Bears, which I don't think they'll lose both those games, maybe one of them, they could theoretically knock San Francisco out of the playoffs at home.
They can.
Like, that's on the table. And so I don't want to discredit them. They're playing good football, but when you're talking about like who's a legitimate contender, I think I'd have the Seahawks kind of in that tier 2 of contendership groups.
But that's the thing with San Francisco, is that they literally have to they need to win 3 of these last 4 games. And it's going to be tough because you got the Colts, the Bears, and the Seahawks.
Yeah, so just beat the Titans and then take care of one of those last 3 games.
I'm already assuming they're going to beat the Titans. That's how bad they are.
Kind of hard not to assume that.
Yeah, but I mean, the last 3 teams, like if you go 2-2, I don't know. That's 11-7.
Well, that's good enough
That's
because
pretty
you already,
good.
but you already have a 2-game lead over the Lions. You're going to get it if you win 2 more games.
Yeah, so and your conference what is it? Record is good. So we'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see.
I
But
mean, really, you beat the Titans and then you beat one of the last 3 teams you're in. Like,
well, Cam's
11
dad,
wins guarantees you win.
Cam's dad is a firm believer that if they can get to 11
10
wins, they're
Oh.
in.
I mean, 10 might do it if the Lions play. Like, if the Lions lose tonight, getting 10 wins, which is what I said all year, to get the 10 wins, you're going to get in.
Yeah.
Like, that may get it done, but I don't know. Let's keep going here to the Buccaneers,
Yeah.
who, I mean, just quick, they're just too injured, not good enough. Baker's not playing his best football.
I got more time. We can keep going.
They almost lost to the Cardinals this past weekend. It's just, if they can get a Buka and Godwin and Irving and Mike Evans back, maybe we're having a whole different, maybe there's more belief in them, but their linebackers can't cover worth crap. Their defense is banged up. The offense is injured. And unless Baker turns things up, they're going to be a first-round exit. They really are. They have grit. They like, if Baker can turn the heat up, they can maybe kind of catch lightning in a bottle. But for how good they started, they feel like one and done. Like 1,000% one and done. And right now, they'd be playing the Seahawks, which makes a lot of sense.
But they have a lot of pieces that are really good. Like Mike Evans, if he can come back, is a huge asset. I mean, they got Godwin back already. They have Mbuka. Yeah. They have guys like Vita Vea, Levante David's getting old.
He sucks, dude. I love him, but he sucks. He's so bad in coverage.
He's
so bad in
Levante
coverage.
David is like the other version of Bobby Wagner, where you're like, okay, I get it. You had a comeback season, but that should have been it. It should have been like, okay, swan song.
Well, even like Servassier Dennis, like they really got to get hot offensively to carry that defense.
Bobo says in the one and done like Pittsburgh every year. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
But when you look at the Buccaneers' final 4 games, Falcons, at Carolina, at Miami, at home against the Panthers.
They can lose all those games and I wouldn't be shocked.
I could see them losing at least 2 or 3.
They played Carolina twice.
They played Carolina twice. Because
there's
Carolina,
a way. Bryce Young, baby.
It's all based on Bryce Young. Can he figure it out? Can he throw it, over the offensive line? I don't know. But yeah, I agree. Tampa Bay feels like a first round knockout.
For the Niners' sake, though, let's say the seeding is exactly how it is now, and it's Panthers versus Seahawks or Buccaneers versus Seahawks. You'd much rather have the Buccaneers in that game than the Panthers, right? Like I'd rather have the Seahawks travel to Florida and play the Buccaneers than the Seahawks travel to Carolina to play the Panthers. So I know beat the Rams, like that, whatever, but like
they beat the Rams, yes, but I still think that
maybe you do want Carolina though, because they get takeaways.
I don't see Carolina being able to get out of the wild card round if they even get in.
Yeah,
I just don't see it.
The NFC South feels like kind of a big old fart in the middle of the playoff picture right now, which it has been the last couple of years, but still.
What's the next team?
The next team is the Philadelphia Eagles, which Philadelphia's defense is phenomenal. Their defensive line is great. Their pass rush is just ferocious as can be. They went and got Jalen Phillips. They have a heck of a general manager. They have all the pieces in place to once again be a Super Bowl contending team. But quite frankly, amongst the quarterbacks in regarding Matthew Stafford, Baker, Darnold, Purdy, Love, Caleb Williams, am I nuts to say Hurts may be the second worst or the worst out of all those guys right now? Jalen Hurts sucks right now. Terrible. Like Jalen Hurts, I walked into the year thinking that, okay, they won the Super Bowl. He went nuts. They turned the corner. He got really clutch. You take away 2 playoff runs, which can't erase those, but take those away. He has been a bottom 18 quarterback in football. The quarterback vision's terrible. He's inaccurate all over the place, holds on to the ball too long. He got carried by Saquon last year. He runs a high school offense. Like, he's not throwing the ball deep downfield. If he does, it's short. It's off kilter. He doesn't see the middle of the field whatsoever. He stares down guys. When he stares them down and they're wide open, he still misses them. There's a reason that Philadelphia Eagles are stuck in the mud. It's because of the quarterback. He's not good. That contract is going to be an albatross as it gets worse and worse and worse. That sucker, I think, is deferred until 2030. It's a terrible contract. He's a terrible quarterback.
The difference is that Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl. Jalen Hurts played, other than the interception, played phenomenal.
He did
in the Super Bowl. And so, again, he gets the benefit of the doubt from a lot of fans. They'll say, well, he's playing like shit. Damn it. Hurts this, hurts that. But we've seen him play at a high level in the Super Bowl when it counted, so we know that exists. And so I think you're right. From the national media, he gets the benefit of the doubt. Now, if Brock Purdy would have won the Super Bowl, I think, again, they would have been like, hey, but we've seen him do it in the Super Bowl, so we know he's got talent, So because of that, I still believe, hey, Hurts can still get it done. But yes, I think last season they heavily leaned on Saquon Barkley, and this year it's not.
He's having a down. He's been really bad this year.
Yeah, I mean,
the
last game,
Saquon has like the 39th rushing yards per attempt. He's been really bad.
Last week he averaged 4.3 a carry. He only ran for 56 yards. And when you compare him, look at this. Saquon receiving had 0 catches. He had 13 attempts for 56 yards. When you compare that to what Christian McCaffrey does every game, that's like, which I would much rather have Christian McCaffrey.
And they're utilized differently. So, like, I'm not going to come out here and say Saquon's bad. Saquon's not bad. Hurts has shown in places to be really good in those playoff runs. I just like, I would rather have Sam Darnold over Jalen Hurts right now. Now, and the reason is because I believe Sam can at least get you to the playoffs, and he isn't the reason why the Rams have been, or the Seahawks have been, maybe susceptible to some bad plays or whatever. And he's thrown turnovers, and I get that, but like Hurts has been so bad, where it's not even like, oh, we had a couple bad games. It's week to week of like, can you stay on the field? They lead the NFL in 3 and outs. They don't have long drives. They can't have these long, grueling offensive drives and push their way to a touchdown. And the defense is like, okay, we're giving you, a 13-point game. Can you score 16? And Philadelphia is like, the offense is like, it's like, dude, what's happening?
I mean, when you look
at a brain malfunction over there in Philadelphia.
It's bad. And they fired their offensive coordinator. And to me, that's the wrong move to do. And you can see why Kyle Shanahan didn't fire Nick Sorensen. He's like, if you fire him, then that sets a bad precedent. Now it's like, okay, now we got to find somebody else. Now we're going to retool in the middle of the season. And Kyle's like, I don't want to do that. But when you look at Jalen Hurts' numbers, I mean, it's not very good. He hasn't been good really at all. This doesn't give you the months. That's kind of weird. It did for his total season stats or season splits. That's kind of weird.
Well, and the worst thing about him is like he has no chemistry with his receivers. Like AJ Brown and him like want to throw freaking hands every game at each other. And like they're probably going to trade him in the offseason and everything. And like if you can't run the football and you can't pass the football consistently, what do you do well offensively? Like, and I would beg Eagles fans, if you're watching, which you may not be, like ask yourself, just be honest. What do you do offensively that makes anyone terrified?
I mean, you can't
take a good offensive line. That's it.
That's it. They can move the sticks, but you got.
But they can't. They can't.
You have Devontae Smith. You got AJ Brown. You have 2 good receivers. You have Dallas Goedert, a good tight end. You have Saquon Barkley. You have a lot of weapons, and I think that's
the paper looks really good. You have nice construction stationary paper. But it plays like a thin white line piece of paper you can poke a hole into with one push of a pencil.
I mean, A.J. Brown had 10 catches for 132 yards and 2 touchdowns. He had a monster game. However, they only scored 15 points. Those are the only touchdowns they scored.
Against the Bears?
A Bears team. I mean,
at home on Black Friday?
They might. I mean, look. Their deep, and not only that, but Jalen Carter, he's going to be out. He's going to be week to week now because he's going to have dual shoulder surgeries. It was
that
like,
guy sucks, dude. Good. That guy sucks.
And then, Brandon Graham's like, I'm going to come out of retirement and come back. I'm like, what are you doing? Go away. The worst thing, going back to the Lions, the worst thing was that Frank Ragnow came back and fucking had a pulled hamstring. Like, what were you doing?
Tore it off the bone.
Like, what were you doing? Were you running to the facility? Like, I'm back. Oh, I gotta believe one of those stretches he was doing he was like, whoosh, oh. They're like, okay, maybe this is a bad idea. Okay, the Frank Ragnow thing. That's why when John Feliciano is like, I'm in shape, just give me a call. This is why you don't give him a call, because he comes back and he fucking tears
the
his
Lions
hamstring.
might want to give him a call now.
It's ridiculous. But for the Eagles, look, they have a lot of assets. They need to be able to score on offense. Their defense is lights out. I think their defense is great.
Yes.
And they can lean on that defense, but they got to be able to score more than 15 points, especially when you're playing the Chicago Bears.
Well,
so
that begs the question. Like, among the teams we talked about so far, we haven't gotten to the Rams and the Bears yet, but the Lions, Dallas, the Panthers, and the Lions, you don't think are getting in. Neither do I. You don't think the Packers are a Super Bowl contender. I do. We aren't really bought in on the Buccaneers and the Seahawks.
I think the Seahawks can make a run with their defense.
So you would say the Seahawks are a Super Bowl contender?
No.
Okay, so right now,
make some noise.
So right now, none of the teams for you are a legitimate Super Bowl contender. But let me ask you this instead. Which one of these teams do you think could give the 49ers the biggest fight for their money if they were to link up? I don't know how based off seeding thus far, but let's just say hypothetically, Packers, Seahawks, Buccaneers, Eagles, of those four teams, which one would you least like to play? I think we'd all want to play the Buccaneers, obviously, of the grouping, but I think I'd least like to play the Eagles. Simply because of the defense.
Well, I mean, the team I'd least like to play would be the Rams, because they have a good defense and a good offense. Right now, the Eagles can't score, so you'd be neck and neck with them because they can't score, and then the defense would shut down the Niners' offense. It would be a close game. So you're like, hey, we have a shot. Yeah. But I would probably the Eagles out of those teams you listed because of their defense.
Right.
It'll make things hard for San Francisco to score. Yeah. When you look at what the Niners did against the Seahawks in week 1, everyone says, oh, it's week 1. But you saw Kyle Shanahan scheme up plays that got people wide open. So he was able to work through that defense and put points on the board. So I would say the Eagles because with Vic Fangio and that defense, and they've been a unit for how many years now? A lot of those guys have been there. That makes a huge difference. The Seahawks, a lot of these guys they're kind of new. I mean, like they're putting this together. I just don't think they have the cohesion to take down multiple teams in the playoffs.
It's funny how the one team, at least that I said was a Super Bowl contender, was not my most feared team we've talked about thus far. Now it's all based off matchups and stuff. And again, I think the Packers are a legitimate Super Bowl contender. Which of the the four teams we discussed is my only one. Dre doesn't have one in there just yet.
Maybe they are, because you know what? Micah Parsons is a difference maker on defense. Having an elite pass rusher does give you that edge.
They have the defensive finisher now. They didn't have that last couple of years.
Last couple of years, it's like a bunch of dudes just trying to get to the quarterback. Now you have Micah Parsons and their defense, so that makes a huge difference. I think they can get there. I just don't believe in Matt LaFleur. I don't believe in Jordan Love.
Okay, so collectively, you're kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot out on Packers. I'm saying yes, they are. But let's get to our final two teams, because right now we have basically just said one team in the NFC is a legitimate Super Bowl contender, which is crazy to say, but really, and we haven't even got into San Francisco quite just yet. They kind of been sprinkled in throughout discussing all the teams. But let's talk about the Rams, because I think this is everybody's number 1 seed, or should be the number 1 seed coming out of the NFC. They've been the best team all year, quite frankly. I know San Francisco beat them. That game was really close. It was overtime. They had a stinker against the Panthers, and Matthew Stafford had 3 turnovers and threw 2 picks, including a pick 6 and a game-losing fumble at the end of the game. And it was a stinker, but it looks like a one-off. The Packers or the Rams have been great all season. Matthew Stafford is in the MVP conversation, if not being the MVP leader, which That's just the way things are. They have the best offense in football with Puka and Devontae. Terrence Ferguson looks really awesome as a tight end. The offensive line's playing good football. The running game has been questionable with Kyron and Blake Corum back there, and Kyron's are taking less reps the last couple of weeks, but it's hard to not buy into what Stafford's doing at the age of 37. He looks tremendous. He looks awesome. And if they can just get average defense, they will probably be in the Super Bowl this year, which I hate saying that. And I think that kind of goes into what I'm saying of like the Rams and the Packers are, to me, the only two legitimate Super Bowl contenders in the NFC.
Yeah, I would say
like,
so. I mean,
like they have issues.
Out of all the teams, yeah. I mean, the Rams are the most complete team in terms of having, having stars on defense and on offense. They're just a more complete team. Now, their special teams was an issue early on. They've made some moves to try to correct that. But I think the Rams have the biggest shot to get to the Super Bowl out of the NFC. Now, look, anything can happen.
Sure.
They might go in a divisional round and just lay an egg and they lose. You just never know. But they're the more complete team. And when you compare them to the Seahawks, I think the difference maker is Matthew Stafford. Like,
yes.
He's going to find a way to win. And right now, he's one of the only quarterbacks in the league, and this is what I firmly believe. He's one of the only quarterbacks in the league, if not the only quarterback in the league, that he has that ability to single-handedly take over a game, which the other quarterbacks don't seem to have.
Right now, because Lamar looks injured still. Burrow just came back, and Allen in the running game in Buffalo just kind of seems like they're in the funk. They won games, but like right now, and I think you're right here, if you told me pick one quarterback with 2 minutes to go to win you a game, I think everybody would collectively say Matthew Stafford over Mahomes,
Yes.
Allen, Burrow, Jackson, who are all great in their own right. But right now in 2025, Stafford just been the guy.
He's playing at such a high level, and he's able to read defenses faster than anyone I've seen in the league. This guy, he has that look. He has that moxie where he's like, I don't give a fuck who you are. I'm going to win this goddamn game. Yeah. And you could just sense it. You're just like, you can see it in his eyes. You're like, we're not going to be able to stop this guy. He's so confident in his abilities that he's like, no, I'm going to win this game. And that's the difference when it comes to winning games in the playoffs, is having a guy like Stafford who's like, I'm going to dissect you. And I would say it's kind of like, in Major League Baseball, when you got a pitcher who's just riding one and just is dominating, you can see it on their face. They're just like, you're not going to hit my stuff.
Yeah, it's like facing Bumgarner in 2014 of like, once, whether it's out of the pen or starting a game, you're like, we ain't scoring at all today.
Yeah.
Or you talk about Yamamoto this past week with the Dodgers, you're just like, oh my God, like good luck, and maybe Stafford wears down. He gets older. Maybe he takes a couple of big hits, late in the season. Who knows? And again, this is now. Things can change the next month or so of games.
Quite a bit. I mean,
very quickly. We've seen seasons derail in the last month of the season.
Devontae Adams, if all of a sudden he goes down with an injury, that's a huge blow. He's been a huge asset for them, especially in the red zone. Imagine if he goes down. It's like, ooh, who's your third receiver? Tutu Atwell? That's
who's currently on IR and may or may not come back.
Maybe
this
not.
year.
Yeah, maybe not.
Jordan Whittington out of Texas. Love that.
Still,
guy.
I mean, they're riding Nakua and Adams as their top two receivers. Now we've seen teams, again, they have two number one receivers out there, and it makes a huge difference. The Cowboys, two number one receivers, makes a difference. The Niners,
the Bengals, it doesn't.
It doesn't. But you have to have the right scheme for it as well. So it has to work. So
let's talk about so we are in agreement that the Rams are a true contender for a Super Bowl. The Packers are in the mix as well, maybe the only two teams. I do think the Rams have a fatal flaw, that being their secondary. If you can pick on that secondary, Mac Jones did it, Bryce Young did it on fourth downs a lot last weekend, and that took some turnovers by Matthew Stafford, but and that is maybe the one reason I would not be fully in on the Rams. I'm in on them, don't get me wrong, but like that secondary has problems. Now, Quentin Lake hasn't played the last couple of games or so. He's been hurt. I think Akella Witherspoon's back. Emmanuel Forbes has been hit or miss. He's been really bad and really good and really bad and really good. I don't know what he'll be. If I'm the Eagles, I really want to play the Rams. Because at least I know I have A.J. Brown against that scrawny little, Emmanuel Forbes in the secondary, and I can body him up and bully him, which is why they won that game early in the season against the Rams. But let's get to the Bears. I think the Bears have had a really good season. They've beaten 2 winning teams, though, all year, that being the Steelers and the Eagles, which, quite frankly, I don't buy into the Steelers at all. They're terrible. And I really like what the Bears are building. The offensive line's playing good football. Kyle Monangai looks awesome. I wish he was a San Francisco 49er. Yeah. I loved him out of college. And just,
what do you mean? Ahead of Jordan James?
Hey. Hasn't played a single snap all year. Great job.
If we had Kyle Monangai, I don't think they would have even traded for Brian Robinson, but who knows?
Then everybody could shut up and be happy. Oh, they would traded the draft pick for Joe Tryon-Shoyinka at the deadline. And we're having a grand old time over here being like, they got one. They got one.
I know.
I think it's been 2 steps forward, 1 step back for Caleb. I think the defense, who has just been incredible with Webster and Byard getting takeaways and turnovers and everything, I think the defense will inevitably stop getting takeaways, which will put more pressure on Caleb and the running game, which I don't really believe in DeAndre Swift, but I really like Ben Johnson, obviously, as a head coach and stuff. I also don't think the Bears have the weaponry to get it done all the way this year. I think they're a year or 2 off. Really, and I wouldn't be shocked, watch out for Brandon Ayuk to Chicago. That makes a lot of sense to me. Ben Johnson, that to me makes a lot of sense. With the offense, and maybe they'll say goodbye to DJ Moore and somebody else. I don't know, but
they could. I still think he goes to the Commanders because they're not going to bring back
Deebo
Samuel.
Sense.
They're going to be like, "See you later, Deebo. We're going to take your other buddy, Brandon Ayuk instead, and see what we get out of that." But the Bears, look, the Bears are like the Lions of 2023, where it's like, "Hey, this is magic. It's happening." I just don't see them getting to the Super Bowl.
No.
I do not believe in Caleb Williams whatsoever. When the chips are down, I don't think he's going to be the guy that makes the plays to get them not only to the divisional round, NFC title, or a Super Bowl. So,
well, just look at their last 5 games. At Green Bay versus the Browns, against Green Bay, at San Francisco versus the Lions. I mean, there is a path where the Bears find themselves being the 1st seed this weekend and the 7th seed when it's all said and done.
Yeah.
That's really on the table. And I think if they get swept by Green Bay, I kind of think it's over. Whether they beat San Francisco or the Browns, or I don't care. If you get swept by Green Bay, you're not the 1 seed. They have been over-reliant on 4th quarter comebacks. And I just don't know if that's going to hold up when you play the best teams in the biggest moments. Imagine the Bears against the Packers down by 3 with a minute and a half to go and 2 timeouts. The odds are you're not going to win that game. Mm-hmm. Or really even against San Francisco, who the Niners, to me, and I will we'll cap things off around here, I do not believe the San Francisco 49ers, despite them being in a really good place, and me believing in them being a playoff team from week 1 of the season, the preseason to now, I'm all in on San Francisco. I believe in this team wholeheartedly. I don't think they are a Super Bowl contender.
No,
I don't.
So. No.
And I think, they're really good. Anything could happen. If the defense is playing really good football, they can get hot. They're starting to come together. They're getting confidence against bad teams. You hope carries over against really good offenses with the Colts and the Bears and the Seahawks. And you can maintain that level of play, you never know what can happen. I'm not writing any team off right now. That said, I just really don't think the Niners are in the group of just 2 teams right now, of the Rams and the Packers. And I don't think I'm too crazy to say I believe in the proven coaching ability of the Niners and Kyle Shanahan and Robert Saleh over the coaching and the teams of the Bears, over the Lions, over the Seahawks, over the Buccaneers, and maybe even over Philadelphia. I'm not saying San Francisco is better than those teams because on paper they're just not, but You get me in a divisional game on the road, I'm picking Shanahan, Purdy, McCaffrey, Kittle, and those guys over a lot of other teams that are ranked ahead of them. Which right now, San Francisco is the last ranked team in the wild card spot. Where like, I know fans are like, "Oh, the season's over."
That could all change in a matter of weeks.
You're right. By this Sunday, it might change.
By this Sunday, they might move up to the 6th seed. So you never know. And
could be the 2 seed.
They could be the 2 seed. I don't think it's going to happen, but you never know.
You never know.
But I think that really when it comes down to San Francisco, look, they're going to lean on their experience to get them farther in the postseason. Straight up. I mean, obviously they're going to lean on their offense quite a bit, but it's going to be, hey, we've been here before. We know what to do. Let's not panic. Let's play up to our potential. And, you know, you have arguably the best defensive coordinator and the best offensive mind in Kyle Shanahan.
Yep.
Let's see what we can come up with and give these teams a hard time. And because, look, they're playing with house money. They weren't supposed to be here after you lost Nick Bosa, after you lost Fred Warner, after all the injuries. This team should have been 4-9. Instead, they're 9-4. They have nothing to lose. And so if Brock Purdy can play the way he played this past Sunday, the rest of the season, then this team has a chance to do something. Because against the Browns, he didn't turn the ball over. He threw the ball away when nothing was available. He was mobile in the pocket, and when he had to, he made clutch, accurate throws that kept the chains moving. And when you go back to 2023 and even 2022, that's what Brock Purdy did. Didn't turn the ball over. Accurate. Was on time. Was averaging, at one point in 2023, he was averaging 11 yards a throw. It's a first down a throw. That's what Brock has to do moving forward. He can't have games where he's, throwing on the run into the end zone and he gets picked off, throwing late, not on time, and not strong enough and getting picked off deep in their own zone. He can't do that against the elite teams. And I think the game he played against the Browns, that's the kind of game I want to see Brock Purdy play for the rest of the season. He was smart, he was decisive, and that's how he has to play in order for them to win.
Well, the beauty of it is there's only 2 elite defenses in the entire NFC playoff picture, and you may get to avoid all of them, whether it's Philadelphia or the Seattle Seahawks. So not to say Brock or the Niners get an easier trip, but there are clear deficiencies on defense when you go from teams like Philadelphia and teams like the Seahawks to teams like, I don't know, the Rams or teams like the Buccaneers of like, okay, the offense is doing a lot of heavy lifting, where the Niners, I think, they're kind of in the same realm of the Buccaneers when it comes to team makeup because of the injuries of like,
right.
You really have to have your offense carry the load. And you can just get a average defensive performance from your guys and your offense is having a killer game, you can beat anybody. But that is one question I wanted to ask you. What is the 49ers? Biggest flaw right now, and really their biggest flaw that you can kind of project and see going into the playoffs of that's the reason why they'll lose games.
The Niners?
Yes.
No pass rush.
Okay.
They have 0 pass rush. Lately, it feels like they've done great at containing the run, not letting the running back. He may get, close to 100 yards, but he doesn't take over the game. To me, it feels like defensively, they're like, if we can contain the run and play good, good coverage in the secondary, we have
which
a chance
has been
to win.
Really good this year. Like, the last couple of games, the coverage has been phenomenal.
I would say Ronaldo Green, Lenore, even Upton Stout have been playing really good.
Jerry Brown's playing better. Yeah.
Mustafa. I feel like the secondary is starting to gel.
Yep.
If you get back Tatum Bethune, remember this guy was averaging like 15 tackles a game. You get this guy back, that's going to help. I actually think Curtis Robinson's doing a great job in his stead, but I think when you go against better elite offenses, he's going to struggle.
Yeah.
Look at Luke Gifford. I mean, he looked like an average player trying to guard a tight end, just like, there was the play against the Browns where Harold Fannin scored that touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, Luke Gifford let him go by him, then realized, oh shit, and then stumbled and fell on his face while Fannin scored a touchdown.
But he got the fumble recovery. He's a white boy with some motion. That's George
He's
Kittle.
good against the run. Against the run, I love having him in there. But when he has playing coverage, he's terrible.
It's not fun. Okay, so you think it's the pass rush for the 49ers? It's hard to disagree with that simply because they just can't get home. Like, the Shador pass rush, albeit there was better movement, it's just like Shador holds the ball for 3.5 seconds every single snap. So, like, that's not going to happen against Stafford. It may happen against Hurts, but it's not going to happen with Darnold and Stafford and Baker and those guys. Like, you're going to get in trouble. But maybe getting Samo and Gross Matos back may help. I will say the Niners' biggest weakness, albeit I don't think is their Achilles heel, I think the receiving core. And I think that can change if Pearsall finally gets more involved in the offense. Like, his disappearance, albeit I think is attached to being injured, then coming back and them trying to get him involved, but not really. He had a big third down play against the Browns. And I think against Tennessee, it might finally be his breakout. You're getting good play from Kittle, obviously, and Juwan and McCaffrey, but they really need Pearsall to come alive. Yeah. If that can happen, I think they're going to be in a good spot offensively, but unless you have that, you're going to be in trouble. But I think the receiver stuff, they had a lot of possession catch guys, Robinson, who I think could be better, but isn't used very often. Jennings, who you like a lot, and Kendrick Bourne and Sky Moore and those guys, but like Pearsall really has to get it going and to figure things out. What do you think San Francisco's biggest strength is, though, and why you believe they could, if everything goes well and perfect, could be in the Super Bowl at Levi Stadium this season?
It's the intangibles. They've been there before.
The things you can't talk about. The things you can't quantify.
But it's the experience. It's, it's 3rd and 10. It's the third quarter. We're down by 3. Brock's going to make a clutch throw to get a first down to Kittle to move the sticks. He's going to hit, McCaffrey underneath, and McCaffrey's going to, take off for 12 yards, get another first down. They have the experience. They've been there, and they have elite playmakers. You have Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah,
on your team. And I think people forget because, a lot of people focus on, the receiving core or the tight end. No, you have Christian McCaffrey. That's like the Dolphins saying we have Tyreek Hill. The difference is McCaffrey's a running back, so you can hand him the ball, you can throw him the ball, you can do a lot of things. He can even throw the damn ball. He even threw the ball in this last game, but that play got blown up. I think that Christian McCaffrey is going to be a huge difference, and we're going to see that in the playoffs. We've seen it already this season. Having McCaffrey has made a ginormous difference in the Niners' offensive abilities and then winning games. And I think that when you lean on your core players, especially in the offense, Purdy, CMC, Kittle, you still got Juwan Jennings out there. Those are the guys that are going to help carry this offense and carry this team. On defense, you got to lean on guys like Demo Lenore. He's experienced. He's a veteran. He's a leader on this defense. Yeah. Joseph Armberg's like, why are you laughing?
Me? Because this comment, Sterling, my dog just fell off my bed.
Poor dog. But
pick it up, dude. Come on.
Like I said, this team knows how to win games. They know how to win. They've been there before, and that makes a huge difference. If this was a young team that didn't have a lot of experience, I'd be like, they're going to get trampled in the playoffs. No, this team has been there. And, we've seen them, granted, against some of these bad teams, they're starting to find their rhythm. When they go against the Colts, that's when the second half of the season officially starts against the Colts.
I think the Niners, and maybe the reason why I think how it's all tied to, and it's kind of a lazy take, so I'll accept that. But I think it all comes down to quarterbacking. And it's not that simple, obviously. There's so much more that goes into the NFL and the offenses and defenses and everything. But we saw what this offense can do when it's running efficiently, and Brock Purdy's not turning the ball over. And they've won games when Brock does turn the ball over. They won the game against Seattle. They won the game against the Panthers. And, the defense played better in those games. And, funny enough, the game against Seattle and Carolina, the defense got takeaways and they won those games. I just think if Brock can play a simplified version of the offense, and not simplified in regards to like limiting what he can do and, just kind of limiting himself of like, I'm not going to always take that chance. It's second down and it's 2nd and 4 and we're at the midfield mark. I don't need to go for the home run here.
Right.
We have a good thing going, or we're in enemy territory. We're at the 20-yard line. I don't need to force a throw into the red zone when I have a check down for 3 or 4 yards on first down.
And that's what I'm saying. If he plays the way he played against the Browns, against the number 2 ranked defense,
which he selectively took shots downfield, you saw before halftime, like you love that from Brock. That was Brock's best game. And it's like, if you can do that and translate that into over games against the Colts and against, the Bears and against Seahawks and go in the playoffs, like, and you play clean football, you can beat anybody.
But that's the difference, though, is that when you get in the playoffs, to get in the playoffs and to play and win in the playoffs, it takes elite quarterback play. We know Brock can do that because he's done it before.
Yeah.
Granted, he had slow starts, but he led this team back to win both those games in the playoffs 2 years ago. So when you look at the other teams, you look at Sam Darnold, you look at Caleb Williams, you look at Jalen Hurts, and you look at Jordan Love. Are you going to get elite quarterback play, elite decision-making, reading the defense, making the right decision with the ball? Are you going to get that on a consistent basis with those guys? I don't know. Because those guys are prone. Those guys are prone to force things, though.
Yeah, and I think that's what separates a lot of the Rams from other teams in that grouping, because you just know what you're getting from Stafford.
Exactly.
Which I think is a great segue into what I want to get into to end the show today. Is I want to quickly rank the NFC playoff teams right now. We're not going to get into Lions and Cowboys and Panthers because they're currently not seeded.
Yeah.
Now, I would go on and say the Cowboys to me are a better team than the Buccaneers and the Bears and probably even Philadelphia at times. And I think probably better than San Francisco, which I hate saying that. And I think that game will be pretty evenly matched, but let's rank the 7 current teams in the NFC playoff picture, starting with who you believe is the worst team in the playoff picture. Number 7 right now, I'm going to assume you agree with me. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are the worst current playoff team.
Yes.
You love Baker. You like the offensive weapons, but if they're not playing cohesive football, they just seem like a first-round exit. They're number 7. We're in agreement there. Pretty obvious reasoning. The number 6 playoff seed. This one, it gets murky here because clearly you can put San Francisco. You can put anybody there, really. Who do you think is the 6th ranked playoff team right now?
San Francisco.
You think the 49ers are the 2nd worst playoff team right now?
I wouldn't say second worst, but second from the bottom. I do only because of their defense, because they don't have their stars on defense. I was going to say the Chicago Bears, but I have to see them play the Niners in order for me to make that decision. But so far they've been hot.
Let's maybe rephrase.
Okay.
Which playoff teams do you believe in the least? The Buccaneers being the worst. Which playoff teams do you believe in the least
Chicago
going forward?
Bears.
So the Bears are your 6th ranked team.
Chicago Bears.
You have the 2nd least belief in the Bears. Okay. That's, I'm sure, because of Caleb and just not knowing what the offense
Caleb
can
Williams,
do playing in
dude.
tight games.
I don't believe in that guy. I think that guy's lost in his own head.
Fraud. No. I think Caleb's okay, but he's been playing better this year than last year, but there's still more to prove with them. The defense is playing good football, though, I will say. Okay. Which team do you believe in more than the Buccaneers and the Bears? Do you believe in the Niners, the Eagles, the Seahawks, the Packers, or the Rams the least going forward?
This is tough to say because you're talking about who do you believe in. Like, I would believe in my Niners, but
who do you believe?
I mean,
Be honest, though. Be honest.
When I have to rank them, I would say San Francisco's next because
Okay.
of all the flaws on defense. They've been playing as a great cohesive unit right now, and
Yeah.
I love seeing it. But in the playoffs, it's all about your superstars. And right now, the guys they had, Fred Warner and Nick Bosa, are not there. That's a huge loss.
Okay.
So I'll go with San Francisco.
I think I would agree. Now, we all know playoffs are matchup based, and sometimes you can play the 1 seed and the 7 seed, and 7 seed is better for whatever reason. And so I think San Francisco could beat teams like Seattle, could beat teams like Philadelphia, it could beat teams like the Bears and against the Buccaneers. And that's just kind of who you play. You can only play people on your schedule, but I think I would agree with you. That leaves the top 4, Philadelphia, Seattle, the Packers, and the Rams. Who do you believe in the 4th least, I guess?
Let me see. Seattle.
Okay. You think okay. Is that because Sam
Why?
Darnold?
Because of Sam Darnold. He's
Okay.
Jimmy Garoppolo 2.0. Slight upgrade, but still has. I mean, look, I would say even Seahawk fans, they'll come out and tell you, "Oh, dude, Sam Darnold's gonna be fine." Deep down inside, they're like, "He might shit the bed."
It's a Christmas miracle if he doesn't.
I mean, look what he did with the Vikings. He played
Yeah.
awful in the playoffs, like terrible. So
Yeah, I
next
think
is the Seahawks.
I think of any quarterback in the current seeding, Darnold to me is the most matchup-based quarterback. Like, I believe in all these quarterbacks besides Darnold against interior pass rush. I think Stafford, Love, Hurts, Purdy, Williams, and Baker can all live, maybe not succeed, but be play livable football and be somewhat competent against interior pass rush. I don't believe in Sam Darnold if they get some pressure on him on the inside, which there have been some teams, Vikings and the Rams, that have done that against him. So you're kind of hoping the Rams and Seahawks meet up and take each other out. Like that's kind of what you're hoping for in the first round. But
like I said, man, every team that's gonna be playing the Seahawks, they're gonna say in the playoffs, they're gonna say force Sam Darnold to have to beat you.
Yeah.
While the Niners are gonna say, I don't know if they're gonna say force Brock Purdy to beat you, but they're gonna say we got to take away Christian McCaffrey. But you still have George Kittle, you still have JJ, you still have Ricky Pearsall, you still have more assets out there. So it's a difference, man. Big difference.
We have 3 more teams left.
Mm-hmm.
We have the Rams, the Eagles, and the Packers. These are your top 3 playoff teams you believe in the most. Of those 3, who do you believe in the least?
The Eagles.
I'd agree.
I have them there only based on their defense and the experience they have out of last year. But the way their offense is playing, they're just setting themselves up to really shit the bed in the first round of the playoffs and be like, well, I guess we're out. But I would say Philadelphia, number 3.
I would agree, which that leaves Packers and Rams. I'm assuming that you have the Packers 2 and the Rams number 1, which I think I'd agree with. It's funny, though, if you put these things in tiers. I think the Rams would be in tier A, Green Bay be in their own tier at tier B. Then you'd have the Eagles and Seahawks and Niners kind of in that tier C.
Yeah.
You have the Bears and the Bucks kind of in that tier D.
Yeah, Bears, Bucks, and that other team that might jump in.
Yeah.
They're
Panthers are right there. Funny enough, Panthers have a better chance of going to the playoffs than the Lions right now.
God,
which, hey, you never know. But
nuts.
our final rankings for the current playoff teams are Buccaneers, Bears, Niners, Seahawks, Eagles, Packers, and Rams. We both kind of collectively agreed the Rams and Packers seem to be the 2 legitimate NFC Super Bowl contenders, whereas teams like Philadelphia and Seattle, the Niners and Bears and Bucks are more of the either one and done or can at least put up a tough fight, but just don't have the juice to go all the way this season. But Dre, thank you so much for coming on the show. Tell everybody out there where they can find you, listen to you, or see you on a weekly basis.
You can find me on YouTube at Dre Area Sports. I cover 49ers. I also cover Warriors and Giants when they're in season and when something comes up. But mainly 49ers is the bread and butter of the channel. Go to YouTube, subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everyone who does subscribe. You can also follow me on X, Instagram, and Facebook at Dre Area Sports. If you want to support the channel, just go to dreareasports.com, become a member. That's the best way to support the channel.
Yes, please subscribe to Dre on YouTube. You can also like and subscribe here to the episode and the channel itself. Don't forget to follow us on social media at 49ers_access is the X, 49ers.access is the Instagram. And if you want to see your Niners play, not this Sunday, but next Sunday on the road in Tennessee, use our promo code 49ersaccess, 49ERSACCESS at SeatGeek.com and save yourself $20 off your first purchase. And tell us down below, what is your current NFC playoff team ranking? And do you believe the San Francisco 49ers are a legitimate 2025 Super Bowl contender? Tell us why they are. Tell us why they are not in the comments or on social media. But that does it for us here at 49ers Access. Thank you so much to everyone in the comments. Lori, Kawachipto, Bobo, Joseph, and so many more of you. Leon Sandcastle, Money Mac 101, Cam's dad, all you guys, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Come right back here tonight. Myself, Larry Krueger, Pig in a Pickle Krug Show, rocking out, talking some Niners content as we always do each and every Thursday. But for Dre, my name is Sterling Bennett. And as always, until next time, stay faithful.